My name is Indiana, and as he said previously, I'm currently living in Seville, and I am a teacher, so I do teach a range of levels from young learners, infants, 3-year-olds, to up to C2 level. And what I've been noticing, over the last few years is that students are getting younger when presenting themselves for B1 exams, B2 exams, and higher. And sometimes there's a need to make formative assessment just a bit more enjoyable and motivational for them to keep on, especially to those summative assessment areas that they have to do. But the formative side doesn't necessarily have to be as scary as they think it can be. So a lot of these things I've tried and tested in my classes, and hopefully they prove to be useful tools. So I'll be looking at 3 main areas broken up. So the first area I'll be looking at are low-tech alternatives for formative assessment. So this will be looking very little on the use of technology, but how we can utilize the resources that we already have in a way that makes it enjoyable and engaging for the students. The second thing I'll be looking at are online platforms, mainly clickers and quizzes. So I'm trying to kind of opt away from the way that students might use devices in the classroom. So I'm sure maybe you've spoken a bit about, using Kahoot or Bamboozle, but sometimes we can't rely on the fact for all of those students to have devices, and also the way in which data is collected on those kind of applications isn't always great to assess how they're doing overall in the class. And finally, I'll be briefly looking at ways in which we can use the Macmillan English Everywhere app to create personalised formative assessment tasks for differing exam levels. So first of all, I'm just going to briefly talk about the idea behind formative assessment and what exactly it is. So as I'm sure all of us are aware, it's a way in which we as teachers can see students' progression continually instead of at the end in a summative assessment. So we're able in this way to kind of support and foster their learning before they get to that big summative assessment that they have to do. I'm going to be focusing on 4 main areas when looking at the different ways in which we can incorporate formative assessment and make it more engaging. So the first thing I'll be looking at is feedback. So the way in which the students receive feedback in the moment kind of thing during the instruction, and also the way in which teachers might receive feedback for how they've designed their tasks. Also, I'll be looking at different techniques. What techniques can we use just to make them a bit more motivated? Quizzes, discussions, how can we assess their understanding? Then for student benefits, how can we promote engagement amongst the students? And how can we make it a personalized learning experience for them to encourage them to get to that summative assessment point without, as we said before, having those nerves about it, and fostering a kind of a growth mindset amongst the students. And finally, are we looking at teacher benefits? So how we as teachers can gauge the students' progress, and also how we are teaching, how our instructions clear, and tailoring our instructions to the students. And also looking a little bit about how we can collect data, just to make it a bit easier when we having to allocate them to do exams or those kind of things. So these are the main areas that I'll be looking at related to the different types of formative assessment. So the first thing I'm going to look at are low-tech alternatives. So this idea kind of came a bit organically in a class that I had, last year. We were coming up to the end of the unit and it was revision time, and they were just like, oh, can we do escape room? They were really into escape rooms at that time. So these students were 10-year-olds, and I was like, okay, thinking about how I could create a type of escape room, but with low prep for me, but also with some like using the materials that we already had. So I think a lot of times we do have a lot of resources. We do have a lot of books, a lot of worksheets, but how can we utilize those in a way that the students can get a bit more engaged? So this is my idea. I mean, I've used this. I mean, it came out from a class of 10-year-olds, but I've now used it for various age groups, even with my C2 class as well. So the main idea behind it is we get a, at the end of each unit, you might have a review page. Okay, so this is in the Ready for C1 book. And then it can be any book, right? So most textbooks have these review pages. So then you have different sections. So on this page, there are 3 different sections. Part 4, keyword transformation, vocabulary, part 3, word formation. So then what I would do is like break these up into 3 individual tasks. So I would maybe photocopy this page and then cut them up into 3 different tasks and put them in different wallets. Okay, so then there's 3 different activities from the book. So they already have these materials, but they don't necessarily know what they're going to be doing. And then the next thing is to come up with riddles. So my idea first with the younger learners, I was like, okay, maybe riddles could be a good one, but then you can also now with AI, you can grade the riddle according to the level that you have. So I thought, okay, can you give me 5 animal riddles for C1 level students? So they come up with, well, the ChatGPT came up with some riddles, and then you project the riddle on the screen. So I have no sword, I have no spear, yet rule a horde which many fear. My soldiers fight with a wicked sting. I rule with might, yet I'm no king. What am I? So I don't know if you guys would like to try it out in the chat. What do you think this could be? Exactly, right? So it's a queen bee. So then they would need to go and find the queen bee that I put somewhere outside of the classroom and retrieve that task and complete that task. So everyone may, well, not everybody, but it depends. So they would have to write the word or whatever animal it is down and show me before they could go to find it. So sometimes for some of them it's really easy, they can catch it really quickly, but for others it does take a while. So not everybody is going at the same time unless it's something really obvious. And what you'll notice is like the more that you do the next riddle that comes up, everyone is finishing at a different time. So not everybody is going to the same image at the same time. So this next step, once they get their task and they say, oh, I finished it, you as the teacher correct the task and see what they've got wrong. So you're giving them in the moment feedback, seeing what they've got wrong. And usually if I have like exam classes like C1 or C2, I'll be like, okay, you've got 60, 70%. Go back and try to do, these ones, this one, look out for this one in this question. So then they will try to figure it out and then come back. And then they can move on to the next one. So after that, I will project the next riddle. So this is a different topic, okay? So usually I stay with the topics of animals. This one was a different topic that I had. So I have branches, but no fruit, trunk or leaves. What am I? Do you guys know? What could it be? This is a difficult one. This is hard. Yeah, so it is a bank, okay? So of course, you catered for the levels that you have. So if these were more like C1, C2 levels, okay, they could potentially get it. The bank was quite a challenging one. But then they will go to the next one, they will find that, complete the task, and the same thing again. So everybody is working at their own speed. Sometimes I like to put like a limit. So I might say, okay, we've got 20 minutes to do as much as you can. Some people will finish it all in 20 minutes, and some people might only be on the second or third task. But then you as a teacher know, okay, this person needs more help with this part. And it's easier for you to kind of gauge what they need. And also I've used this a lot, especially for exam years. Maybe when you're coming to the end of the book and you just want exam preparation, instead of just giving them exams, you can just like, you know, copy the booster book or practice exams and do the same thing. So it works quite well with reading and with use of English, it's on reading part 1 in some of those exams. I mean, that one was a tough one. I've done other phrasal verb, like other riddles too. So it can be anything. Obviously, for the 10-year-olds, I catered them for 10-year-olds. So we did things that I knew that they would answer. You know, you could do Halloween special. I've done phrasal verbs. Last week I did famous Spanish people's surnames in English, and missing words in Christmas songs. So for instance, I would show them this picture and be like, okay, what is his surname in English? So do you guys know who this is? I don't know if there's any Spanish speakers out there who would know his surname in English would be Flags. So then they would go and look for the flags that are around somewhere. So that's the kind of idea that, you know, you can change it to for any kind of level, and as a teacher you can decide what you'd like to do, but it just makes it a bit more motivating and engaging for those students. This was the Christmas one. So, oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open, and then they would have to find the image of the missing word. So despite, you know, people singing the Christmas songs, they might not necessarily know what it is. They might know, oh, it's a sleigh, but then they're like, oh, what is a sleigh? So again, you can use language that you've taught in the class. You can use it as a vocab revision, whatever you kind of like. But yeah, so this is just the low-tech version. So the perks of using this for formative assessment, the students get real-time feedback. So my students have commented to me, and I see my students, like if I don't have time to correct this because it's the end of the time, they're a bit like, oh, but please can you correct mine? And they're not used to that individualized attention in the class so much, because usually when you do an activity, you correct it all together. And you can kind of see what they're doing, but this way you can really see how they're doing. The delivery, you know, again, the task remains the same. It's the same task that they would have to do anyway, but it's just the form of delivery makes it a bit more exciting and a bit more fun for them, you know, to get up and about. Student benefits, yeah, as I said before, they do enjoy the whole process, and for a teacher it's easy to monitor. It's an easy way of monitoring how they're doing, and also I've noticed that students usually do it quicker, but not necessarily they do it quicker just to do it. They do it correctly and quicker. It just encourages them that speed. Okay, I'm going to go to the next one. Whereas if they're start doing a revision task, it might take them a bit more time. So yeah, so I feel like this is something that I've used with a range of ages, you know, up to 20-something-year-olds as well, and they do enjoy it. Obviously, I do bear in mind what they like or what they're capable of, and again, it's very little prep, but just making it a bit more engaging for those students. So the second one I'm going to look at is online platforms. Okay, so I'll be particularly looking at Plickers and quizzes. what I like most about these tools is that they give instant feedback, and it collects student data at the same time. And also, as I was saying before, there's no need for students to have devices. So I think sometimes, it is nice for students to maybe play a Kahoot at some point in the class, but a lot of times, at least this way is a kind of form of controlled formative assessment, as opposed to a Kahoot where we don't really know where that data goes and we can't really use it to gauge how they're doing. So Plickers, I'm sure some of you online probably know about Plickers, but I'm just going to give a brief overview to how it works and how we can use it. So Plickers is particularly useful for multiple choice questions. So each student is given a card with a unique visual code. Okay, so it's like a QR code type thing, like you can see here. And the code has 4 sides with A, B, C, D. And a question is projected. And then the student has to hold the card up with the letter so that the letter, which is the answer, is at the top, because then the teacher has a mobile device which scans those codes, which I'll go into in later depth. So the thing is with this is, it is used for multiple choice questions. And you can create classes on Plickers. Okay, so I have a few classes on Plickers, but the codes can be used for different classes. So you could have Plicker number 1 for Ignacio in B1 and Plicker number 1 for Ignacio in C1. So it doesn't, you can reuse those cards for different classes. So I'll just show you briefly how to import the questions. There's no need, you can, if you want, manually import the questions, but if you find any kind of multiple choice activity that they might have to do, you can just copy it and paste it directly to where it says import questions. And then you can change if you want 4 choices, 3 choices, and also, the question numbers, etc. And then it kind of cleans it all up for you. So again, you probably do need to just go over, check that you put the correct answers in. But again, with a lot of online books these days, they come with online resources like end of course tests, end of unit tests, etc. And a lot of them are multiple choice. So it's really easy for us now to just kind of copy and paste them into that without getting the students to manually write and then we have to correct. So that's one of the greatest things of it. So then the student, you'll project this, so you're controlling it from your phone. You'll project the question, and then the students will have to turn their Plicker with the side at the top, which is the answer. So in this case, it was A, sediments. And then the teacher will scan the classroom and they will come up. And then you kind of get a whole load of data from what the students have answered. Okay, so for instance, this one I can see, 8 people got it right, 3 people got it wrong. So you can see from the teacher's perspective, you can see which students exactly have got it wrong and which students have got it right. But the students, when you project this, they won't be able to see that. So as a teacher, okay, maybe they need a bit more practice with this, or maybe they need a bit more practice with that. So it's quite a nice way for you to know exactly who's done what. And then at the end, you can kind of have this an overall student report as well. So you can use that overall student report to kind of see their progress too. And the more you do, the more data you'll get, which is great in that way. So also the thing with Plickers that I'm going to look at later with quizzes is that usually the free account, you have 5 free questions per set. Okay, so 5 free questions per set, but you do have unlimited sets. So it does sound a bit complicated, but you can easily go from one set to the other on your device. But yeah, on one set, there's only 5 questions. That's the kind of maybe drawback to using Plickers as opposed to quizzes, what I'm going to look at now. But again, as I said before, it's an easy, nice way to assess students' learning, and there's no smartphone devices needed. I mean, a lot of my students who maybe are doing B1 exams, they don't have smartphones. So, you know, when it comes to that end of the day and you just want to do a quick quiz to see how they're doing, this is just a nice little thing that you can do, and also easy way for teachers to keep track of their progress. So yeah, now I'm going to go on to quizzes, and I have previously used quizzes a lot in my classes as like, you know, the game style quizzes. And more recently, they've updated it to have a Plickers card function. And this is what I was talking about previously. So you have unlimited questions. Okay, so you can input unlimited questions. And it also uses an AI function to identify and extract the questions. So in this way, I suppose quizzes is a bit better because you don't have that limit of 5 per step. So I'm just going to show you a quick video of how easy it is to do this. So as I said before, you know, at the end in the online books, they usually have extra resources for end of unit quizzes, and that's basically what I've done here. So you just go onto it and you can create a quiz. You can upload a document, then you upload it from your device, and then basically, I mean, also you could do it from a text too, that was the option, and you can choose the number of questions, the grade, and then in this case, because it's already questioned, they have question and answers, it's just auto detect. So it's going to auto detect the questions and options. And then that's it. Okay, so literally it's so much quicker than giving out, you know, that little assessment for them to do in the class. So previously I used to give this out to them and then collect it and then grade it. But now you can just do that so quickly and then get the feedback straight away and the data back. So I feel like obviously you do need to, especially the higher the level, usually the more you need to double check the answers, because even though they'll automatically detect the answers, a lot of times they're not the correct answer. So you do have to just double check them before you send it off. And then when you want to, again, with this quizzes paper mode, the teacher does need to download the app onto their phone. So it works in the same way as Plickers. So then you just, when you want to do the test or whatever, you want to start the game, you just click on paper mode. And then again, you can print off the Plicker style cards for the students, and again, allocate the students the specific card. So I feel like this is a great option. And also now they've got this AI toolbar. So I'm not sure how long this is available for. I think it's until around June time, like free. And then afterwards, maybe it's going to go to the premium account, but at the moment it's free. So as part of the AI toolbar, you know, you can fix grammatical errors, convert to real world scenarios, add explanations, convert. So they have plenty of options that you can also do with the questions, which is amazing. What I most like is clicking on the automatically add explanation. Okay, so then when the students, you know, hit the wrong answer, the answer explanation will come up. You know, the correct choice is C because the sentence is in the past. The use of wouldn't indicates a hypothetical situation. So we were looking at third conditional. So you can do that for each of the questions, and then, you know, hopefully it helps the students understand why they're getting something wrong and how they can go about that. So yeah, I feel like quizzes and Plickers are very similar in this aspect. And of course, quizzes is great, like using on your phone as well, on your device for students. But if we want to kind of edge away from that a bit and, you know, not rely so much on technology in the classroom, this is a great alternative. So finally, I'm just going to brush upon quickly the Macmillan Everywhere app. So I'm currently teaching C1 at the moment, so and there's C2 and B2. So usually on the app, when you have where you have the online digital book, there are extra things that teachers can create in order to gauge how their students are doing, and also to create tailor-made assessments for their students. So I was testing this out for my C1 class. And again, it's a great way, like you're using the book, maybe they want extra resources, but you want them to focus on a specific topic. It is really great in that way that it provides you with all of the options. So I will go through it. It's pretty easy. So you just go to assessment, and then you can add assignment. Oh, I don't know what's happening now. And then there's different options. So you can choose from the question bank or ready-made tests or my questions. So I was going to go from the question bank. And then when you go to the question bank, there's lots of different types. So you can have drop down, gap fill, multiple choice. Oh, oops, sorry. Depending on what you want them to do. Okay. And then there's a lot of different options as well. So you can look at word formation, you can look at collocations, those kind of things, grammar concepts, and you can basically add what you would like them to do in the assessment. And it's pretty easy. It's just like that. You just add, and then you also do get a chance to kind of preview the assessment before you sign it off to them, assign it to them. And then the great thing also about it is that you can, when you do schedule, you can change the type. So you can make it either digital or paper-based. So if you wanted to, you could make it paper-based and print it off. Or if you wanted to, you could make it digital and assign it to the students as well. So there's different options. And also then once your students have joined, it's an easy way of collecting their data, seeing how they're doing, how they're progressing, especially if they've got those big, C1, C2 exams, seeing what they're doing and how they're keeping up with it all. So hopefully there are some ways here, some low-tech alternatives, mid-tech alternatives that will help in making formative assessment for students an engaging experience. So thank you very much for joining me today. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can put it in the question and answer now. So thank you.
It was wonderful to listen to all these new ideas. And I'm saying new because not so many teachers used it like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, but now it has become like a must.
Yeah, but that's one of the things I said. I used Plickers years ago, and then after COVID, it kind of disappeared. And then I think everyone got into Kahoot, and then I'm like, now it's kind of a revival of it,
I remember giving my first talk on Kahoot like 6 years ago or so. And now, and nobody or almost nobody knew it. Imagine now everybody uses it.
Well, that's it.
All right, guys. Well, let me see, because there are two questions in the Q&A.
Okay.
One says, at our school we typically only teach conversation until we reach low B1. Can you include any comments on how to cater these tools to conversation style classes specifically, or lower level of English?
Okay, so you're thinking about more speaking type tasks. Yeah. Well, I think actually Elspeth does talk a bit about how she does a kind of thing with speaking actually in the next thing. She does like a recording. There's a recording app that they do to keep a recording portfolio. So she will actually talk a bit about speaking specifically. But yeah, I suppose these ones, what I'm looking at is not really, they're not speaking specific formative assessment. It's more like overall, like exam type things. So I'm sorry in that. Hopefully Alice can maybe have ideas about the speaking portfolio might help.
Yeah, for sure. There's another question about the platform. Can I make digital exams for any book in the Me platform?
I don't think it's any book, right? It's only
It's
the
not any
ready.
book.
Yeah, it's the ready
It's,
for
it's
books.
the ready for books. It's also gateway books. A gateway is for secondary. Also get involved. Also a language hub. Like from, for example, and speak your mind. It's like from secondary level and above. That's where you can make your digital exams.
Okay, perfect.
And also there was another question about anxiety. Anxiety when the students are taking a test. How can we lower anxiety? This was from the previous talk or section, but probably you can help us with that.
Okay, so what is the question just generally about
How
anxiety?
to lower anxiety.
Oh, sorry, oh my gosh.
For the, yeah, how to lower
Okay.
anxiety for the candidates.
I mean, usually I think that a lot, maybe if it's their first time doing like an assessment, it is a bit of an overwhelming experience for them. But I feel like them seeing, you know, how it's done, or maybe watching videos of maybe speaking examiners, students doing it in that situation, it might kind of remove them, like take away that part of anxiety. And I think also maybe it's true, it's like you don't know how they're going to perform on that day, but just kind of engaging them. I feel like being supportive of their potential, so that they kind of realize in those moments that they are capable of doing it, can help in the long run, you know, them kind of believe in themselves.
Also, what I've seen is that, for example, with Ready For, the speaking videos help them a lot. Also, we have that for other series, but if you watch and analyze the speaking part or the speaking videos for exams,
exactly,
then it's also a way of making the candidates know what is going to happen, what they are going to face.
Yes, exactly. And also, you know, maybe setting up real life mock exams for them, just getting them used to that exposure of how they're going to do it in the real, you know, with a different teacher maybe or something, so they're not used to that. But yeah, I feel like it is a big thing, but them to kind of, especially for them to realize, especially the more like maybe formative assessment things you do, and you can see how they're developing and progressing, that maybe they don't need to have that anxiety, that fear, that might impede them on the day.
Practice.
Yeah, practice.
Yeah. Also, we as teachers, we need to know some tips. Now we have some certain things to prepare our students. It's not just practice, or it's not just like go ahead and study. No, there are many techniques. There are many tips that also the books include, right? Like Ready For.
Exactly, and they have, like, you know, end of course mocks, you know, all of those things, mid-course exams, so.
And the special sections of ready For and the different papers, for example, right?
Yeah.
The sections also help a lot.
Exactly.
There's another question. Can you please give us back the name of the platform? Okay, it's me, Macmillan Education Everywhere. And it's the new platform. Let me tell you something, Indiana. Here in Mexico.
Oh, you're Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Mexico.
Okay, nice. I did live in Mexico. I've lived in Mexico for a
Really?
year. Yeah, I love Mexico.
Mexico City?
In San Luis Potosí.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
It's not very far from the capital.
No.
Well, let me tell you that in Mexico City, we haven't used this platform. The one that you presented is going to be launched on July the 15th.
Okay, cool.
So probably some people don't know. Some people don't know about the platform because they're used to the old one, right? The MEP one.
Exactly. I think it just recently got updated here in Spain as well. It's been a new thing.
Yeah, for some other people, like in Argentina and some other people, they already use it, but not in Mexico and some other countries probably. So that's why probably they're asking about this platform.
It's true. It's completely a brand new thing.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Indiana. Maybe you couldn't read all the comments, but they were telling about the exposition. It's great. It was.
Thank you, guys.
I also found some important, interesting things like the use of technology, the use how to prepare our students, how to make them practice, and not in a common way, not in a traditional way only. No, that is also important
Yeah.
to provide balance to your classes.
Exactly. So I'm glad, you guys hopefully got something from it and can use it in your classrooms.
Thank you very much, Indiana. It was wonderful.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
And probably they want to try the platform. I don't know if you liked it or not, but let me tell you that we are very, very happy to present. And if you already use it, well, tell us what you think about this platform. But if you don't use it, well, go ahead, learn more. Scan the QR code because this is the new generation of platforms. Let me tell you about this. This platform is especially made from Macmillan for all the newest books, and also it's multi-platform, you can use it on any device. So I forgot the specific name, but you can use it on any device. You can use it on any computer. It can be Mac, it can be PC. You can use it on any tablet, iPad, Android. You can use it on any mobile. If you can run some other apps, you can run our app, right? And let me tell you that also you can download the content, so there's no need for you guys to use internet all the time. Okay, once you download the contents, you're going to be practicing, your students are going to be practicing, and then well, that's a very, very handy way to practice all over. Well, everywhere your students are, they're going to be practicing. As you saw with Indiana, you can create your own assessments. You can take the assessments that are in the books. Also, you can create your homework. You can create your questions, multiple choice, longer answers, and you can also send the notifications to your students. They're going to receive them in the cell phones. And also you can have like differentiated learning. You can send some activities to the fast learners. You can send some activities to the ones in the middle, and the ones that need more support, you can also send these activities, and then everybody's going to advance at their own rhythm